Hello, thank you for dropping by. And this week I've been reflecting on the term should. So, should is a word that shows up in a lot of the conversations that I have with people. And it always indicates a feeling about oneself that's based in lack. So, should, if we think about it, it indicates that we don't believe we are meeting an expectation that we've set for ourselves. And often that could be around success or versions of success that we have set for ourselves. Or it could have to do with just, what we're accomplishing from day to day, tasks and chores and those kinds of things. Or it could have to do with whether we believe we are fulfilling our roles in life well, parenting or employee or what have you. Well, when I hear the word should, it is definitely a signal to me that someone is comparing themselves to some idea they have about how they should be doing in the world. And I wonder if this is a word that you use with yourself often. It's something I would suggest to take note of when that word should shows up in your inner monologue. So what I want to say about this is one thing. It's good to notice it. It's good to notice when you're using should around how you're doing in life. I should have gotten a promotion by now. I should be further along in my career. I should have gone into another field altogether. I should have more money in my bank account. Should. I should be a better mother. I should be better able to handle everything that's on my plate. I should be able to clean out the closet. I should have already cleaned out the closet, and why haven't I? So, should. So many of us are walking around in this state of scarcity or lack around ourselves. We're somehow not doing enough, or we're somehow not enough on a day-to-day basis, or in the eyes of the world, or compared to some arbitrary version we have of success, or what we think we should look like, or what we think our lives should look like at this point. Now it's interesting because these ideas that we have about ourselves, these ideas about how our lives should look, I mean, they are completely fabricated. They are figments of our imagination. They have no basis in reality. And where did these ideas come from? When did we get the idea that what we're doing now isn't enough? Well, a lot of it has to do with messages that we receive, and in this particularly capitalistic culture that we live in the States at least, we're often being bombarded by images of people who are living the life of success and beauty, and those beautiful people who have the wealth and they're driving the fancy cars, and they're walking around with the Prada bags, or wearing the Cartier watch, or what have you. And those images are constantly in our faces, whether it's in magazines or television or on the internet. They're being fed us constantly, and they are creating this image of an ideal. And of course, the message is this: that once you have that car, and once you look this beautiful, and once you smell like Dior, then you're going to be happy, or at the very least, you're going to be successful. And well, I mean, aren't they the same thing? Well, not really. That's one thing. But also, these are ideals of perfection that are not based in reality. I mean, you're seeing something that was concocted by Madison Avenue, fictional images of perfection, so-called perfection. And they are giving us these unrealistic standards to which we should all be, aspiring. And so the message, again, the subtle message is, if you haven't achieved all of these milestones, and if you haven't achieved these levels of success, then you're not good enough. You're not doing enough. There's something flawed within you. You're not making it happen. You're inadequate on some level, and maybe many levels. Now, the fact of the matter again is that because we are looking at these images, and even if you're a person who rejects advertising or these mainstream versions of success, there's still something that you might be picking up, like it or not, about what success looks like, or what beauty is, or what happiness looks like. And so it is hard, even if you do see through these images and these messages, it's still hard for many of us to fully internalize a sense of ourselves that is whole and then embraces all the things that we perceive as imperfections. There's this whole culture that's based on showing up and looking a certain way, projecting a certain image, an image of success, happiness, beauty. And of course, we see this every day on social media. Everyone puts on their best face to get onto social media. And then I often hear from people how they're really feeling behind those perfect images, what's really going on for them. So this idea of faking it that everyone's doing is just contributing to the messages that everyone else is picking up, which is, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not on top of things, I should be further along, I should have more, I should be more. And so it becomes this nagging inner dictator that just whips us along as we go through life. And at the end of the day, maybe we can celebrate some of our wins, but there's this other voice that says, but not yet, but you can't rest yet. You're not there yet. You still have further to go. And honestly, that just gets exhausting. And so a lot of people find it unable to really just be happy with what they have. Just celebrate what they have right now as being enough. Celebrate who they are as being perfect as they are, as being good enough. And when I say good enough, I don't mean that in a way that's like, well, I just have to settle, for my own mediocrity. I mean, no, you are perfect as you are. You have many things to offer that you are offering to the world right now. And that's enough. That's plenty. And if we could all accept that, if we could all understand and accept that every day, we would be so much less exhausted and so much less busy, because we wouldn't need to be proving ourselves all the time or trying to reach this destination that keeps eluding us. We would just be good. And I talk to people about this, and they have a hard time wrapping their minds around feeling content. And for some people, contentment is even a dirty word. It means laziness, or it means settling, or it means accepting what is. Oh my goodness. Imagine that, if we could accept what is. The thing about acceptance that people have trouble with and contentment is they often, again, feel like, well, that means that I'm lazy, or I'm not trying to better myself, or if I accept what is, then maybe I'm accepting something that's imperfect, and I don't want this thing that's imperfect, the situation or what have you. But the other thing to remember is that it's great to be working towards a better version of yourself. I mean, that's what personal growth is about. But there's a way to do it that starts from a place of contentment, acceptance, embracing what is, embracing oneself as whole, as perfect. When you start from that place, then anything you do beyond that is an enhancement, is growth, is evolution. If you're starting from a place of scarcity, though, and not good enough and should, then you're running a race that you're never going to win. You're climbing up a hill you're never going to reach the peak of. There's no end to it. And if you start from a place of contentment, joy, celebration, that doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly become lazy and you're going to just be a sloth and eat bonbons all day. That's not what that means. But you can enjoy a bonbon. You can enjoy that. You can enjoy that moment, and then you're going to be more inspired to take action that'll get you to the next level. But it's about the joy of accomplishing things versus a need to prove yourself or to secure your place in the world. So I'm just suggesting, what if there's nothing that you should be doing different than what you already are? And what if you're doing plenty every day? And what if you're not behind? What if you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now in this moment? And what if you could just relax a little bit and just enjoy the ride a little more, not be whipping yourself trying to get to the finish line faster, which, finish line, no such thing. We all are perfectly imperfect. We are all living our lives the best we can, the best we know how in each moment. And maybe it's time to think about what success really means for you, and what happiness really means. And maybe happiness is lying on a hammock on a Sunday afternoon and being content not to be working on your next big project, or not to be thinking about all the things that you should be doing, but just to enjoy the moment and look up at the clouds and look at the shapes in the clouds and the birds and what have you. So those are my thoughts for the week. And I hope that, well, maybe something landed, maybe something resonated. I think it is worth just noticing some of those messages that make us feel less than, or again, like we're not enough, we're not doing enough. And if you notice that word should popping up, just swat it away. It doesn't have anything good to tell you. Well, have a wonderful week, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.